We welcome now our great friend, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Now, Mr.
Larry, I'm still laughing at that riff you had. Did you just tell me Democrats want to get rid of soap and pacifiers for our grandkids, for goodness sake? Is that what you just said?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't...
Not just gas stoves now, it's everything else, I guess? Holy cow.
You know, I was telling the producers when you heard this riff, you were going to want to talk about it because you'd rather talk about the economy. You know about, you're a good economist, Mr. Chairman, and I knew you'd enjoy that.
Holy cow, that was quite the list, but you're right. They want to get rid of oil and gas, for goodness sakes. President Trump is right when he talks about what this means to our economy and to American families. But I know we didn't come on and talk about that, but it just made me laugh when you went through that list.
No, but it's an important point. Just to pause for 10 seconds here before we go into all the other stuff that you're presiding over. Importantly, refined petroleum products and related products permeate, Jim Jordan, the entire economy.
Yeah,
very few people understand the importance, and it affects every kitchen table. Every pocketbook issue there can be. And like I said, egghead economists want to exclude food and energy. You can't do that because food and energy comprise, for God's sakes, what we do. All right, and et cetera, et cetera. All right.
You got to have the energy to produce everything else, not just those list of products, but the energy to produce all the other things we do. Energy is at the heart of it all, and that's what the left attacks, which is. It's just crazy.
No, you're right. You're dead right, sir. Anyway, Chairman Jordan, I just want to, there's a bunch of things I want to raise that's up on your website. You've got a big hearing, I guess, tomorrow with Merrick Garland and some other matters as well. But last night, Chairman Jamie Comer, was on Laura Ingraham and mentioned that, this Hunter Biden lawsuit against the IRS, which is somewhat amusing, you could say it's his father's IRS, is really an effort to intimidate the IRS whistleblowers and presumably any other whistleblowers that happen to pop up. And I just wondered, Mr. Chairman, what you thought about what Jamie Comer said.
Well, no, of course that's what's going on, but I will say this, the whistleblower's testimony has been consistent. It stood up to 4 hours of cross-examination from the Democrats in the Oversight Committee 2 months ago when Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler testified in that public hearing. The stories that have changed are the White House stories. This White House changed story about their involvement with Hunter Biden. I was not involved in anything. Well, no, dinners, phone calls, meetings, and maybe more importantly, the Justice Department story has changed multiple times. David Weiss wrote me on June 7th. He said, I have full authority to determine when, where, and whether to bring charges. He then wrote me 23 days later, and he says, actually, I want to change that. I can only bring charges in my U.S. Attorney's District in Delaware. And then to further confuse matters, he writes Lindsey Graham on July 10th and says to Senator Graham, I've not chosen to go to special counsel status. I've had discussions with the Justice Department. 3 stories in 33 days. So they can go after the whistleblowers all they want. What I know is their testimony has not changed, has been consistent, and stood up to cross-examination. Not the White House, not the Justice Department.
So is this, is Weiss going to come before your committee in October?
Sure is. They told us, the Justice Department said he would come testify publicly. We said, okay, here's the date. We expect you to be there. We'll see if he honors that. My guess is Attorney General Garland will get a few questions about that tomorrow as well. But we'll see if he honors the commitment the Justice Department gave to us. We also, though, would want to talk to a number of witnesses before that October 11th date. And we put that list out there. We've talked to 2 of the 11 thus far, and they have basically backed up everything Mr. Shapley and Mr. Ziegler told us as the whistleblowers who came forward as the IRS agents who worked on the Hunter Biden case.
I mean, I would just, following this as we have tried to, and you've been so gracious with your time on this show, Mr. Weiss, now the special prosecutor or whatever he is, he's got quite a lot of splaining to do. He's not only changed his story, but he put together this phony deal that gave blanket immunity. Now he's coming back and he's indicting Hunter Biden, but we don't think it's going to go after the international transactions, which is really very much a part of Hunter Biden's story. And that story, Mr. Jordan, is very much a part of Joe Biden's story.
Oh, exactly right. I mean, you preside over an investigation for 5 years, an investigation that tips off the defense counsel when you're going to do a search warrant, an investigation that puts together a plea deal that was so ridiculous the judge said no to it, and a host of other facts that have come out. You preside over that, and then it all falls apart when Judge Noriega says this plea deal's we never seen anything like this before ever, and it falls apart, and you say, okay, now we need a special counsel, and who do you name? The very guy who presided over all that. That makes no sense to anyone who's watching any of this. So, yeah, I think that'll be a line of questioning tomorrow as well for the Attorney General.
So, Jim Jordan, what else do you want to tackle with Merrick Garland? I mean, we've talked about this down through the past. Parents in their school boards, he tried to bust them. I guess Catholics with Latin masses. I want to get to the Trump prosecution as well. A possible bribery issue where one of his, I don't know, U.S. attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys, Bratt tried to tell this Stanley Woodward, who's a very good defense lawyer, that your judgeship will be better viewed if you would pull back and not represent these Trump people. I mean, is that where you want to go with Merrick Garland, or is there other stuff that you want to raise today?
All that, I think, will be raised, but I think at the heart of all this is the disparate treatment, the unequal application of the law, the double standard. I think that's the theme. And when you look at David Weiss selected as special counsel for the Hunter Biden investigation after he presided over all that investigation over 5 years versus Jack Smith, the guy who a few years ago was looking for ways to prosecute the very people who were targeted by the Obama administration's IRS. Jack Smith, who's indicted former President Trump in 2 different locations. I think that is the double standard I think we want to show tomorrow as well and ask questions about. But also, of course, the school board's memorandum, the memo that said we're going to treat pro-life Catholics as extremists, the FISA reauthorization that's coming up and how that has to change, and a host of other things I think will also be subjects that members are going to have concerns about and raise questions about.
Let me just go. What happened? I know you want documents from Jack Smith. You want documents from down in Georgia, the prosecutor, Fannie Willis. But whatever happened to the guy who was supposedly investigating Joe Biden's misuse of classified documents? Where I don't think anybody.
No one even knows his name. His name is Robert Hur. No one's heard from the guy.
You beat me to it. Because I know Robert Hur is.
I know, but no one else remembers.
Well, that's the thing. So whatever happened to this guy? Because
great question.
U.S. senators, first of all, aren't supposed to have any of these documents outside of the National Archives library or secure room. Neither are vice presidents. So this guy's supposed to investigate them. They're sitting by the Corvette, and we haven't heard a peep out of this. Meanwhile, they basically want to put Donald Trump in jail for the next 750 years. Somehow I think
who was president? Who was the president?
Right.
The ultimate decider on what's classified, what's not. They're going after him like crazy, and they got this action, that the case they brought in Miami. But again, as you point out, we haven't heard anything from Robert Hur. And then, of course, Larry, the one that scares me the most is Fannie Willis was literally, we learned this 2 weeks ago, literally looking to indict, go after 3 United States senators, including the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Graham. She was a hairbreadth away from indicting them. That's crazy. For those senators for doing their job. That's how out of control this has gotten, and this double standard that the vast majority of the American people understand now exists.
All right. Chairman Jim Jordan, you are the best of the best. Can't thank you enough for your time. I know you're very, very busy. We appreciate it. And don't forget, refined petroleum products affect the entire economy, every nook and cranny.
They sure do.
Thank you. Take
Good
care,
to be with
Jim.
you.